Well, YouTubers, here we are. It's on December 26th, Boxing Day, 2013, about 2 in the afternoon Eastern Time, and it's about 34, 35 degrees right now. I'm going to go down and get my mail here. It's a bit windy, so we might have to contend with that and the microphones, but there it is. My son and grandson are on their way up, so they'll probably be here in about 25 minutes or so, along with the D-Dog, the Daisy Dog. That should be a very pleasant afternoon here, and I imagine you'll be seeing more of that anon here. But, first here down to the road of death. Transpired down here in the mailbox. Something has, anyway. Oh, we got. Well, right. All right. Let's be careful here. I don't want to drop any of this stuff. It goes skittering down the way. Alrighty. Oops. Credit card bill and cable bill and New England Journal of Medicine and Anesthesiology News Toilet Journal, you know. And I think something from some sort of alumni nonsense or the other. I think Paul's got a statement from his medical insurance of some variety. So we'll be looking at these things here and then we'll be back with you here. All right. Let's see. We'll give you a little view of the little arboreal area there.
Don't eat it.
Yeah, she's all right. Daisy, stop eating. Come on. There you go, man.
Well, we're having a day here. Carter and Thomas came up.
I'm playing snow kick.
Decided to come out on the deck here. I better keep both feet under me because it's not wise for me to.
That's not.
Yeah, it's not wise.
It's not worth it, man.
It's not wise for Joe to get just stand on just one foot.
Oh, I'm sure there was at one point. Well, I know there was, but I think there was a place and they never got a hold of it.
Well, I was always afraid they'd get their feet caught in that hole, you know, and
in this one?
Yeah, and break their foot, and particularly if we threw it out into the water or a lake or something, and so I mean it's a toy designed by a human more or less for a human rather than a toy designed by a dog for a dog. It's not. Whoever designed that didn't really have a mind of a dog.
Oh, handlebar?
Well, no, the purple handleball is great. I mean, that's a great toy for a dog and a human. But
that's also a horse's favorite toy. Play for the handlebar. This is the water's up.
No kidding.
Look at that. I don't remember the last time I've seen the water that high.
Well, you generally have never been out here when it's, you know, during that time. I mean,
That is up there.
well, generally, if it's up like that, it's just generally in the spring.
Yeah,
You know, it's,
yeah.
you know, generally in the winter it doesn't do that.
It's almost up to the pump house.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Yeah, it's up a little higher than it was here a few minutes ago. Well, an hour or so ago, Paul, and it goes up and down. You know, it's been fluctuating up and down about, you know, a foot or so.
Whoa.
Them guys.
I mean, like shooting a bean or dropping some hot fastball. It's in water.
Slow motion.
Maybe I meant to get one.
Get what?
Soccer ball.
Well, we had a soccer ball there, but you know that the dogs made short work of that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they as I recall, actually, there were about.
That was more like a chew toy. Yeah, there were actually about three.
There were about 3 iterations.
Yeah,
of
three
various
iterations
soccer
of
balls up
three
here.
iterations of soccer
And
balls.
none of them lasted very long.
No, they viewed those as very large, round chew toys that, you know, particularly, you know, flat chew toys because they punctured them very quickly.
Once they were instantly
Yeah,
punctured.
yeah,
I seem to recall Capricorn basically destroying one within the course of an afternoon.
Well, I think Capricorn was very suspicious of balls in general because, you know, when the tennis ball went down that hole in the front yard that we were hitting around it, you know, he would chase it and then all of a sudden it disappeared.
Yeah,
and
like, wait a minute, anything capable of that?
yeah, I think he basically didn't really trust anything round that moved through the air.
He just stood there and looked at it in a sinkhole.
Yeah.
They had to go and rescue.
Probably on the same principle that after I shot that groundhog, he picked it up and stuffed it back down the hole.
Well, that's where it belongs.
Well, yeah, that's clearly what he was thinking. Yeah. I mean that's where it came out of. That's where it needs to go back.
They took him down there, take him to eat it.
Well, you know, I mean, I thought this dog would act like dogs and things that I'd grown up around, and turned out that this dog had a very different agenda. Well, he was a force of nature. Of course, Oaklander turned out to be an even bigger force of nature.
Poor Oaklander.
God bless Oaklander. Yeah. Well, we all know about forces of nature. I believe that you're associated with the several forces of nature.
Oh, Addie. He's home feeling like crap. Thursday, before the half day's full. Yeah? Wound up with a 104 strapped throat. Oh, that's terrible. So he wound up in the hospital.
Well, he didn't get in the hospital. He went to ER and they treated him, and then meanwhile his dad got sick, but probably not with bacterial stuff. Well, okay.
Now,
Well, Thomas and Carter are getting ready to go home now, and I might give a little précis and a commentary after they leave. You know, well, not. Well, I will be discreet. I will be discreet. Still, you know, it's always good to see them. So,
God bless YouTubers.
well, there they go here. God bless them. Now maybe I can tell you some stuff. Now Paul has promised me that as I yak at you, he will help me remember some things about today's visit. You know, I would have loved to have basically done an entire video of today's visit, but One, that's impractical because it's like, you can only do so many 4 gigabyte files, huh? And there's a certain amount of, how should we say, confidential, sensitive things being discussed. But in between those sensitive discussions, we had a certain amount of rich material. Now, I'll say this. After they first got here about 2:30 or so, we had about a 15 to 20 minute period where you had Carter and me and his dad and Paul, and we're all sitting here in the kitchen, and it's just guys together. It's just guys together, and there didn't seem to be anything else. There were no agendas. There was nobody trying to make a point against somebody else, either here or elsewhere. It was just guys being together, In his dad and my case, we're having a beer, and Carter's having a juice, and I guess Paul was having a beer, and we're just chatting away. And I thought to myself at the time, I said, well, this is the kind of thing that maybe in about 9 to 10 years, when Carter actually becomes 14, 15, and allowing for the fact that God lets us all stay alive, because by that time, presumably, Carter will know how to sort of, truly behave. More of that anon. I know this is good. This is good. Well, and then you saw where we went out and horsed around on the deck. That's fine. And then after coming in, well, I didn't think things went all that downhill rapidly, but Thomas seemed to think they did, and Thomas knows his son far better than I do, because hell, he lives, he's around his son all the time. I only see him periodically. And Carter went into my front room there, and he got his he put on my ear protectors, from where I did a lot of shooting. And a lot of times I keep them in there. If Paul's watching TV at night and I don't want to hear, I'll put them on when I try to go to sleep, and that's fine. And so Carter put these things on. He thought those were neat, and so he sat here and he horsed around with them while he colored and yacked, and you can hear with these. You can hear voices of these things. These don't, they're designed to protect you against sudden loud sounds like gunshots. That's their shooting gear, and of course he's at that stage now where he's learned how to sort of dissemble, but he doesn't understand that adults have already done that before him and know what he's trying to get away with. So it's that's just the way kids are. Now there's some of that stuff where you can't let them get away with it, but this.
Telling us I cannot hear.
Yeah, he says I can't hear you. Yeah, he could hear us. Of course he could. We played along. I said you can read our lips. Well, this kid can't read yet, but you read our lips. I know. It's all right, and benign enough. And then what was that? What was the final meltdown, Paul? Oh, he went in then, and he said, well, I'm going to go. Well, then he scampered off into the front room again, and after a while, Tom said, I better go check on him. He's in there rocking away in my chemo chair. Well, that would be fine if it were a brand new chemo chair, but I had to rebuild that undercarriage of that chemo chair with stove bolts and machine bolts and things. And so that, if there's too much rocking done on that thing's going to break, and then I'm going to have to buy another place to sleep. And so I was trying to explain to him. Of course, you can't explain to a 5-year-old, even if it's a 5-year-old, 1 week-year-old, 5-year-old, 1 week-year-old, about the expense involved in buying a new place to sleep. And still, you try, and his dad tried, and and not in the sense of, oh honey, it's okay, because it wasn't okay. His dad said, this is not okay. You can't, I told you not to rock in that. It's not okay. And I said, Carter, I said, let me explain to you. Well, of course, then then he put the ear protectors back on. It was almost like one of these things in one of these movies. Put the ear protectors on, held both hands on either side of his head.
Oh, he stuck his fingers in.
Well, that was a different one. That was later on. And then later on, when I tried to explain to him, he, as Paul points out, he then that's what really pissed Thomas off, is when he's sitting on Thomas's lap, and he sticks his fingers in his ear when I'm trying to explain to him about the.
He put his. He cuffed his ears first, and then he fingered his ears.
Well, okay, yeah. So no harm done. I don't know. We'll find out tonight, won't we? I mean, maybe I'll get in there and the thing will fall down onto the floor like it did before I had to rebuild it. So I guess we'll find out. So. I mean, just didn't get the right. He just chose the wrong issue to make a point over, I guess. Well, so anyway, they went home, and we had a good time, and instructive time too, interestingly. So talked about Christmas Eve at their house with his mother and Marilyn, a longtime friend, and all of us, and heard about that, and various gifts and so forth. So I think that's as much as I can say tactfully. Well, there's a lot of stuff I'd really like to say, but I really can't say. I really can't say. That laugh is for you, Faith, although you won't hear it. She hates that laugh.
Thomas has the same damn laugh.
Well, of course it is. Of course it's the same laugh, and of course that's another reason why she hates that laugh. Because it's not, it's not exclusively Thomas's laugh.
Oh, jeez.
Well, no need.
Inherited the damn thing.
Yeah, well, there's no need to thrash through all of that, surf foam right now. So, God bless you all. Have a for all of you guys in Britain, have a good Boxing Day, or I guess Canada too, maybe. I don't know if you guys in Canada do that. That reminds me about Boxing Day. When I first heard about Boxing Day, this history professor and his wife was from England, and Jeff was from the Bay Area in California, San Francisco Bay Area in California. And I used to babysit for them, and he's the first one told me about Boxing Day. I'm surprised I didn't hear about Boxing Day from my good friend Brad's grandmother, who was actually from England, and made this great Christmas pudding each year. It took about 2 or 3 weeks, and she marinated it and fermented it in rum and liquor and things. And but nonetheless, this is where I first heard about Boxing Day. So all you guys that celebrate Boxing Day, go Boxing Day.
What the hell is boxing?
Well, I'll explain it later. Well, I will.
Okay.
It's a British thing. Here in the United States, we just call it a day of wretched excess. So, well, how can you tell the difference? Alrighty, bye bye now, YouTube. Paul says bye bye. Well, there's my grandson, Carter Scott Kersey. This is the photograph that Thomas brought up here today as a gift. And I think that's just neat as hell. And that bottom tooth has since grown in as a permanent tooth. And I just think that's gala as anything. So I leave you with that.